Hey guys, it's Critical Fish and I'm back with another video today. I'm going to be showcasing all the different video games that I played and beat in 2023. The next video that I release will be all of the 2024 games that I've played and checked out, so stay tuned. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for the next video. Without further ado, let me explain what you're looking at right here. So I've got all the games obviously hidden so that I can explain one by one which ones I did beat. I've got this column that filters the list of games by the ones that I finished, and it also shows if I 100%ed them, as well as the system. So with that being said, let's start off and go through these one by one. All right, so the first game we've got up here is Earthbound. Now, keep in mind, these are not the order that I played them in, but I did play Earthbound during the summertime, and if you don't know, Earthbound is an excellent, simple RPG in a way. You play as just kids in a small town that travel around to cities and weird worlds. And the story's all about like friendship and exploration. It's, pretty niche game, but the former president of Nintendo was the one that mainly developed it, Satoru Iwata. And definitely shows the game has a lot of heart and a lot of care. And yeah, it was just a fun little journey to go on. And highly recommend it if you've got the Switch Online service or like an SNES Classic. All right, the next one is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. This was a replay that I did. I originally played the game in 2011 or 2012, whenever it came out. It was my first Zelda game that I played. I know that might be a little controversial, but I love that game. I replayed it just to, refresh myself and make sure that I had, valid criticisms of it, as well as just see what I initially enjoyed about the Zelda series. I 100%ed it, as you can see. And yeah, I still love it. So, worth replaying for sure. Then we've got Pikmin 2. Pikmin 2 is the sequel to Pikmin 1 from the GameCube. Just a quick recap, I played Pikmin 3 first, then I played Pikmin 1, and then I played Pikmin 2. And Pikmin 2 is definitely my least favorite out of those three, but it's still a great game. The main thing is that it introduces caves as one of the main mechanics, and one of the biggest gameplay features are the caves, and you spend over 50% of your time in caves. Unfortunately, I don't love the caves, so that definitely knocks it down for me, but it was still a fun experience and challenging. The next game we've got up here is Metroid Prime. Now, I didn't play this on the GameCube. I purchased the GameCube disc and I tried it out, but I did play it fully on the Wii. Now, this is about a 15-hour game. It's very similar to Super Metroid, if you've ever played that, but it's in a 3D world. The music, the ambience of the environment, just all the little details and the notes pasted around the world. It's great. It's a first-person shooter game, but it's mostly a puzzle-oriented game where you really have to just sit and think about what you're doing, where you're going, what tools you need to progress, and just a very fun game. Highly recommend it, and I'm super excited for Metroid Prime 4. Now, the next game we've got here is Final Fantasy XVI. I played this on the PS5. We've got a few of those right here. And unfortunately, this is not a great game in my opinion. I was you know, the hype ramped up over time for me. I was coming off of the excitement of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I did realize that this was a different set of developers, you know, totally different style of gameplay and music. And, you know, I placed my bets that this was going to be a solid experience, which it is, but it's not super deep. And, you know, I didn't really care about the characters or Clive, and the story kind of plateaus halfway through. And I don't know, if you've played it, you might know what I'm talking about, but it's not super memorable in my opinion. The worst thing is the side quests. But anyways, so the next game I played, well, at least in the list, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. This is a PSP port / remake of Crisis Core on the PSP. And if you don't know, it's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII. So you play as Zack instead of Cloud. And the story and the gameplay are kind of, you know, just decent at best, I'm not going to lie. But it's a cool game. I'm glad they brought it over to PS5 the way they did. It's better than if they just did a straight port. So I'm glad I got to play it at least, but it's not something I'm going to return to. The next one on here is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. This is the sequel to Fallen Order. And, you know, I was a fan of Fallen Order, but, you know, I knew it wasn't as good as something like Dark Souls or, you know, just any kind of third-person action-adventure game. It was a solid first attempt, though. The sequel improves everything. It goes a little more open world. There's more exploration, more gameplay elements. You can ride like birds, which are like horses pretty much. And I don't know. There's just a lot of cool added features, but still not super memorable. Next game I played was Dead Space Remake. This is a game that I never played before. The only reason I played this was because I enjoyed the Resident Evil games earlier in the previous 2 years. And so I had faith that this was going to be good. It plays very similarly to Resident Evil 4 in the sense that, you know, you're solo, you've got certain weapons you can use to fight small and big enemies. There's a lot of like jump scare moments, and I don't know. I think it's a solid game, but it doesn't stick out. And honestly, a theme so far on the entire list is that most of these are really good, but they didn't really stick out. So that's Dead Space. Next up, speaking of Resident Evil 4, we got the Resident Evil 4 Remake. Pretty much right after that, only 2 months after, and this easily is the best game so far on the list in terms of new games that I played. And yeah, I really didn't love the original game. I had played it like a year prior, and I felt like going from Resident Evil 2, which went from very atmospheric, scary, you know, every bullet matters, to Resident Evil 4, where it's more action focused. There's these weird, you know, story elements to it where there's like crazy creatures, you know, spawned from like a disease. I don't know. I just felt the tonal shift was not great, but Resident Evil 4 Remake actually makes the game a little more scary and a little more grounded in that, you know, scary atmosphere. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the gameplay tweaks. You can parry with your knife. Like, all that stuff is great. So that's probably the best game out of the list right now. That's a new game. And let's go to the next one. we've got Lies of P. So, if you don't know, Lies of P, it's pretty much like a Bloodborne spin-off, some say knockoff type of game. And I would have said that if I didn't play that, but I played the whole thing. And in some aspects, it beats games like Elden Ring for me. It is a traditional Souls-like game. Literally feels like it was made by From Software, and was very impressed by the additions to the game. You know, you have a lot of customization with your weapons and your left arm, which can have a lot of different gadgets on it. All the areas are great. A lot of the bosses are memorable. The music's pretty good as well. Overall, I was just pleasantly surprised with this game. And I would say Resident Evil 4 Remake and Lies of P are easily some of the top contenders for my game of the year from 2023. Yeah, so let's see what the next one is. We got Spider-Man 2. So this came out late in the year. I was excited, but I wasn't a huge like diehard fan for Spider-Man PS4. I didn't even like Miles Morales that much. And I wasn't super excited to go back to New York for a third time when I know that all the next games are going to be in New York too. But the story was solid. I liked playing as both characters, and I thought some of the villains were great. I thought Venom was cool, and I think the best part are the gameplay tweaks. You know, the swinging is faster. You can glide with the suit. You know, there's some new abilities that they give you access to that are very fun. And I just think they did a great job tweaking your moment-to-moment gameplay. I was very happy with that. Let's see the next game on here. We got Portal. So I played this really late in the year when my, I didn't have much to play. I played this on the Switch. I also played Portal 2 somewhere in here. And wow, these are really cool games. They are short, they are simple, but they are heavily puzzle oriented. And there's a lot of just creativity despite it looking very basic. You're in these white rooms and you just have your portal gun, but you're solving these puzzles in extremely clever ways, whether it's knocking over turrets or using, the portal blocks on buttons. It's just a very fun experience, and the story is scary and just makes you kind of open your eyes to some things. But it's excellent games. I understand why they're huge classic games. All right, next one, Super Mario Odyssey. So I'm a little late to the party on this one. I knew exactly what I was getting into. I had watched tons of videos on this game before I even played it, which is kind of a bad thing, but didn't really hurt my playthrough experience because I liked what I saw. The highlight of this game is just the movement, right? You're playing as Mario. You can bounce around, wall kick, slide, dive, toss the hat, jump off the hat. It's just overall a fun time to play as Mario, and that's the important thing. Do I love collecting 900 moons? No. I think it's pretty dumb. But I think they nailed the movement of Mario. And overall, that's what matters. It's a fun game, and I'm glad I played it. All right, the next one on here is Pikmin 4. So, let me preface. Pikmin 4, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Lies of P are my games of 2023. All three of these are like unbelievable in my opinion. And Pikmin 4, let me explain. I was not hyped for this game. I had played 1, 2, and 3, and I didn't think 4 would ever come out. But they announced it. I was skeptical, mostly because of the dog character that you see. But little did I know that this would probably be my game of the year for 2023. It's pretty much a perfected version of 1, 2, and 3, all combined into one game. It's super, like, multitasking oriented. The mission structure and the level structure is excellent. They brought back caves, but every cave is unique. And I don't know. This game was a blast to play through. And it was a long game too. I played it for like 35 hours, and the other games are like 10 to 15 hours. So I was playing this nonstop. I was super happy playing it. So if you like real-time action strategy and, fighting enemies and exploring and collecting, you gotta try the Pikmin series at some point. Next up here, we've got Portal 2. Same thing about Portal 1. It's a great sequel, improves on the gameplay, a lot more than 1. Story and the tone feels a little different, but I'm a huge fan of both of them, and you should definitely play both of them. Next one up is Bowser's Fury. This was new DLC that was tied to the release of Super Mario 3D World on the Switch. This itself is like a 4-hour experience to 100% it. It is really short, but it's super fun. They pretty much take the level design from 3D World, but they tie all the levels together in the same space. And it feels like a mix of 3D World and Odyssey, and I hope that the next Mario game is like this, where you're standing there as Mario and you can look out and go to the ice world, you can go to the desert, you can go to the forest, and you can just see them in the distance and go there without having to load into new levels. I think that would be an excellent concept. All right, the final 2 games that I did complete, we've got Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So this was the next 2D Mario entry after probably a decade besides Mario Maker. And they did a great job with it. Personally though, I didn't love it. None of it's really memorable. Like, the music isn't that great. There weren't many boss fights. The power-ups are kind of hit or miss. Like, I couldn't even tell you what they were, honestly. And I think the Wonder, transformations made some levels unique. But I still feel like a lot of things were underutilized. But it looks great. It plays great. I like the dramatic shift in art style. And I'm excited to see what they do next, at least. Also, if they ever did DLC for this, I would play it. So, I also played this multiplayer, so I'm not sure if that influences my opinion, but playing it with friends, I can't remember a damn stage that I played. But, yeah. And then the final game that I purchased and beat in 2023, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. This was an unexpected free DLC that came out for God of War Ragnarok at the end of the year. Huge announcement, hugely excited. It felt like a little, cherry on top of an already excellent game. And what it did was add like a 5 to 10 hour DLC roguelike mode where you play as Kratos and you're pretty much, going back in time, fighting the past, at least story-wise. And then in the game, you're going to these old areas that you went to, fighting really tough enemies, getting better abilities, fighting bosses. It's just fun. And, you know, they really don't need to do something like it again, but I'm glad that they added extra content, let alone story content, for the game. And I think if you like the Greek mythology stuff from the old trilogy of games, you should definitely play this. It's awesome. So, I'm not gonna lie, this is a solid list in my eyes. You got a lot of huge IPs: Zelda, Pikmin, Metroid, Final Fantasy, Star Wars, Resident Evil. Like, 2023 was a solid year for me, at least, for games. And I'm super happy with what I played. These games influenced me to play some new games in 2024 that I might not have checked out in the first place if I didn't play these. So I'm glad I checked these out. I want to showcase these black rows right here because these are all games that I either purchased or played, and maybe I didn't finish them, or maybe you can't technically beat them, but I had a solid time with them, and, you know, I played what I played. Here's what I've got. So I bought, like, Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. I knew this as a kid, so I didn't really need to replay it or play a ton of it. Another example of that is, like, Mario Sunshine, Metroid Prime Remastered. Like, I didn't need to replay that when I already played it on the Wii. You know, can you really beat Smash Bros. Ultimate? So there's some stuff in here that I played, but didn't, like, finish per se. And that's why the checks are, like, slightly red here. So, but yeah, overall, had a great year in 2023. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think? What do you think of the games that I played? What did you play that I missed out on? And yeah, just stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be my 2024 list. And yeah, we'll see how it compares to 2023 and 2025. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a great day, guys.